Thanks for having me here, IAMAI. I have a feeling that the organizers of IAMAI are based out of Mumbai because otherwise, if they were acclimatized to Gurgaon and middle of January, this would probably be inside and not outside. But thanks for all of you for bearing the cold and being here for my session on large language models. Just a quick show of hands, how many of you use ChatGPT every day? And how many of you use it twice a day? Great. So that's the audience that I was looking for. Quick introduction. I've run a digital marketing agency called Adlift. Been in the space for about 17 years. Ex-Yahoo, eBay, AT&T before starting Adlift. And we worked with about 500 plus brands in the last 14 years. Some are F500s. Some are startups, really growing their digital presence online. Some of the logos that you can see here are folks that we work with. I'll kind of now jump on to what is it that we're going to cover. So we're going to dive into the rise of large language models and why that's important, why you should care. And once we get into that, we'll kind of get into how at Adlift, we're actually looking at brands and growing their presence across these large language models like AI Overview, Gemini, ChatGPT, and Perplexity. So if we kind of look at the cross-platform market share, obviously, the big G in the room is Google, which is still at about 86% market share. But really quickly, large language models like ChatGPT, Perplexity are driving upwards of 7% market share. Now, 7% might look like a very small number to you, but I'd like to kind of focus on a mammoth like Microsoft, Bing, took about 10 plus years to actually reach 2%. What Perplexity, ChatGPT has done in the last 12 months. And we're only going to see a further catapult of their usage in the months and years to come, because when we did a show of hands of how many of you actually use large language models like ChatGPT, pretty much everybody, put their hand up. So it's becoming the first stop place for consumers. And every time a platform becomes the first stop for consumers, that's where brands need to be. So driving brand visibility becomes top of mind if you want to be there where your consumer is, where they start their overall search. So let's kind of dive into building brand visibility, taking AI overview into consideration, which is something that's been rolled out in the last 12 months across the globe. We estimate, users to be upwards of 500 million, and it's being triggered for a lot of search queries on Google. What does it look like, right? So just a quick snapshot of what an AI overview answer looks like. I kind of put in this question, what should be the working hours in India? Because that was top of mind for a lot of us in the last couple of hours or weeks. And what AI overview talked about was it should be about 48 hours. Not 90, not 70, right? But that's essentially what that looks like. And just shedding some more information around the AI overview. AI overview triggers for upwards of search queries on Google which are greater than 4 keywords, right? And it's essentially top funnel, so very informational. So if you want to be there right at the top funnel for your brand, it's important to optimize for AI overview because it covers 92% of informational content. And currently, keywords within this segment on AI overview are not very competitive. So you actually diving in and optimizing for keywords to drive your brand visibility across AI overview is currently a lot easier than it would get to be. Also, it shares a lot of common references between featured snippets and people also ask. So we kind of see that coming across, like on Google, if you're searching for keywords like, when to wear contact lenses, you'll see FAQs of people also ask come up. And then because you're showing up there as a brand, so this is Bosch & Lomb, an example, you'll also come up over here with Bosch & Lomb. So there's a lot of overlap of what you've done from a Google optimization SEO perspective with AI overview. And then Google essentially ranks those brands up on AI overview that are already ranking on the first 10 pages, first 10 spots on Google. So massive overlap if you're already doing well on SEO is you can modify and be on AI overview. And we've seen Google actually come up and say early results shows that they're actually driving a lot more clicks, a lot more brand visibility if you show up on AI overview. And we at Adlift would like to kind of think ourselves as drinking our own champagne, where we've optimized our keywords that are important to us, and we've kind of come up on AI overview as a brand, as an agency, for a lot of keywords that we're searching for. So how do we actually do that? That essentially gives rise to what we call GEO, which is Generative AI Optimization. And we've kind of worked with a number of brands in really optimizing their brand's presence on AI overview, which is where we've come up with this flywheel on what are the core factors that a brand should be thinking when they want to optimize for AI overview. Right from keyword to intent mapping, to backlinks, content, all the core factors that can actually drive you to come up on AI overview. And the overall strategy that's really worked is obviously you start with research, identification, content across multiple different tools that we use. And then we built our own proprietary tool, which is Content Lift, which actually drives a lot of the content value, digital PR, through a network of over 21,000 publishers. So this is our own proprietary tool. And you saw a lot of brand logos when I started talking. 90% of them actually are on this tool. They use this day in and day out for generation of content across third-party sites. So we've got about 21,000 publishers on this site where we can actually create content for brands, push them out on these sites, and drive brand visibility, which helps with AI overview optimization across large language models. These are some case studies that we work with. So we work very closely with the BFSI segment. We work very closely with global brands like Achieve within the personal loan space, Campus.com, which is within the EdTech space. And we've seen some really early ramp-up results of as we've optimized their brand presence across AI overview, traffic has shot up, leads have shot up, conversion has shot up. So when we talk about large language models, it's not only restricted to AI overview and Google. We saw in the earlier slide the onset of ChatGPT, right? It's now at about 7% of overall market share. It's fast rising. So how do we think about optimizing for large language models like ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity? So if I'm actually there on ChatGPT searching for what are the top 5 best earphones, there are users who are actually starting their journey at ChatGPT versus Google. So getting there too becomes really important. This is where we're introducing our own tool, proprietary tool called Tesseract. How many of you have seen the movie Interstellar? Okay, so it comes from the idea that the Tesseract has the ability of analyzing data across multi-dimensions. And here I'd like to think about multi-dimensions as multiple large language models, just not restricting to one, but you've got ChatGPT, Perplexity, AI Overview, Gemini. And that's what Tesseract essentially does. It basically takes an input of a large number of keywords. So I'll demo what we've done for the earphone and the banking category, where you want to kind of analyze, is my brand showing up for these keywords, right? So suppose you're in the earphone space, you're an Apple or a Samsung or a Sony. For you to figure out and go into each of these tools individually would take months. So what we did was we built APIs across these tools. We call the tool Tesseract, which actually has the ability of figuring out what your current brand presence is, and then map this out as you're optimizing for your brand presence over a period of time. And it's really nifty, right? So here's a demo where we put in about 250 keywords, and it kind of gives you an overall brand visibility score across large language models like ChatGPT, AI Overview, Gemini, and Perplexity. It tells you organically where you rank on Google, whether you're showing up for featured snippets or not. And that's where the multi-dimensional work gets into play for Tesseract. So at Adlift, we strongly believe that, yeah, you want to kind of produce results, but if you don't know where you start, where you currently are, you can't move the needle. And that's where Tesseract comes into action, where we start to first tell you where you currently are, and then we start to move the needle based on all the optimization, content, all of that, leveraging the Content Lift platform. It all comes together. Another thing that this does is you can map out all your competitors. So Sony is like at a 36% from an organic large language model brand presence. Its competitors, Apple, for that same set of keywords of 250 keywords, are at this brand presence of 28, 31, 28. So if you are Sony, you're doing a lot better than your competitors, but there's obviously a lot more percentage points to garner and get more visibility across those keyword sets. You can then also map out separate large language models and see for those keywords how better are you doing versus your competitors. So for ChatGPT, Sony's ranking for about 67 keywords. 67 keywords give the answer as Sony, like what are the top 5 wired or earphones or wireless earphones, whereas competitors like Apple are at a 50, 22, and 15. It also gives you brand level and keyword level information. So with just one level of view, all the keywords that you've input, you can figure out which of them are being triggered by OpenAI or ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, AI Overview, and what your organic rankings are, all in one place. So you take that data and then you start your journey of optimizing for those keyword sets. Similar demo on the banking space. So we basically looked at keywords across, what's the best personal loan in India, what are gold rates, where should I go? And then we kind of looked at how different banks like HDFC, SBI, Bajaj, and ICICI are doing from a visibility perspective. Again, just benchmarking where they currently are and where they can be 3, 6, 9, 12 months down the line. A quick brand level overview, and then all of this essentially comes in through your large language model ranking strategy. So we looked at our overall AI overview ranking strategy. This all filters into the Tesseract, where we work on reporting analysis as we work on all of these key elements in driving your brand presence across large language models. With that, if you guys would like a copy of the deck, you can take a screenshot of this, shoot an email to hello@Adlift. We're opening up early access for Tesseract. So again, just shoot an email and we'll get you set up with Tesseract for your brand. With that, would love to open up for any questions that you might have. Only easy questions, please. The tough ones you can give through Prasad over there.
Thank you so much, Prashant, for a very insightful session.